If you'll join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have approval of minutes, and we have two sets. One is from the 8th regular session that started at 10:30, and the other is a reorganization meeting that started at 10.
And you also have the December 20th that you held till
Okay,
today.
and December 20th. We'll handle those each individually, so,
And in sequence?
and in sequence. Do we have a motion to approve the December 20th minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And the reorganization meeting of the 8th, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And the regular session of the 8th.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the 8th of January, 2018.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Painter? I'm sorry, Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. We have introductions of new staff. Do we want to do that now?
Sure.
Very good.
Lisa, you want to go first?
Good morning, Lisa Gatwood, Clermont Transportation Connection. And I have with me this morning Larry Hager. And Larry's joining us as a part-time CDL vehicle operator. He is retired from the Lebanon Correctional Facility. He has 30 years of service in there, and he previously drove inmate transportation for them. So we're happy to have him on board.
Very good.
I hope this is a little easier.
The paperwork.
You might find that the inmates that you have to transfer now.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Judy Eschman, Job and Family Services, and it's my pleasure to introduce Barbara Dumford. Barbara is our new clerical specialist in the Public Assistance Division, and she comes to us with lots of experience. She's a New Richmond High School graduate. She has a certificate in computer business technology. She was a corrections officer in the Clermont County Jail for 5 years. She's worked in the public sector. She's done accounts payable. She's done lots of customer service jobs, and she recently came to us from the Talbert House, where she's an administrative assistant. So we are definitely going to put all of those skills to use. So, thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Is that it, Tom? Yes, sir. All right.
Can we get a, I'd like to start getting
Yep,
photos
we need to
of
do a
commissioners with the
photograph
new
if we may
employees.
before you take off. She talked to me about it before the meeting and
You guys give
I might have to get right in front.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Any particular place you want? Stand by.
Come on down this way.
we're fluid, we're just
Keep
wandering around up here.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one with our flash. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
You go, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the county.
Thank you.
So next, Tom, we want to do consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. consent agenda was provided to all of us, I believe, at least a week ago. And if there are any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion, we can do this now, or I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbon?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Non-consent agenda, item 5.
Well, since we did financials, I didn't have to be here.
That's all you get.
Can't get away from me, sorry. All right. Item 5 is our recommendation to adopt Resolution 003-18 to declare the necessity to purchase 16 and lease 20 new motor vehicles as additions or replacements for those departments under the jurisdiction of the board and the elected officials to be used in their operations. Every year we do this. This is the first year we have added the lease of the vehicles. And in the resolution, we have detailed the lease to be the ones for DJFS. 16 of those are for DJFS, 14 Ultimas, and 2 Grand Caravans. And we also have talked about using building inspection as the other department for the pilot of this lease activity. And we have selected, based on the number of vehicles in building inspection and the miles on them, we've got 4 of those that we're going to lease. Okay, so that is about half of his fleet. He's got over 100,000 miles on at least 4 of them. So we've got 4 in here for him. And those will be crew cabs, and Ram is the one that is now the best deal for him. So those are lease rates that you'll see on there, an annual lease rate for those volume of vehicles. So we've got a total of 36 vehicles, which is typical. I will come back with an add-on to this for a couple of the other departments that I don't have specifics yet on which type of vehicles we're getting. So we'll do that a little bit later, but this at least will allow us to get the sheriff's vehicles on order and get those replaced as soon as possible.
So you get the 16 then that we're actually buying, those are going to the sheriff's office?
No, the 16 that we're buying, the majority of them are sheriff. There's one in there for veterans. We had requested that last year and they postponed the purchase of it, so we're requesting it again this year. And then there's some buses in there. That's where the larger money comes from. And again, those were authorized last year. The purchase didn't happen. We're reauthorizing them to go ahead with the...
That's the 2 new buses?
It's the 2 40-footers, correct, at $900,000. Those are out for bid right now. So when those come in, we'll go ahead and get the purchase order and get those processed. There's also 1 van, wheelchair accessible van for CTC in there. And then 1 water resources truck. Water resources is where we'll add a couple more through an amendment to this.
And the van will
And then the
not require-
engineer, I don't have specifics
The
on
van
that.
will not require a CDL driver?
No,
Will not.
no.
Okay.
That's correct.
Good.
And I think you said we were going to try and get it in diesel. Is that what we're trying on that one?
We're gonna look and see if diesel's available and compare the difference in prices.
Okay. In the 20 lease, those are for DJFS, right?
16 of them are DJFS, 4 of them are building.
Okay.
So you get for the building, the 1-year terms, and the
Yes,
CJFS is 4?
4-year terms.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 03-18?
so moved.
Second.
Mr. Yule?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank
The
you.
next executive session?
We do have an add-on if you want to do that now, or we
Okay.
can wait.
Right ahead.
The add-on, as the board recalls, we discussed the rules of procedure on Monday. And so these are the amendment to Section 8 of the Personnel Policy and Procedure Manual for the Rules of Procedure, and all the changes that the board discussed and agreed to are implemented. And this goes into effect next week at our January 17th session.
Tom, just as I know we made a couple of suggestions on Monday, but did we implement either one, or we decided to go or stay where we were?
We implemented changing the order of the defined issues, but we did not implement approving the agenda.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve Section 8 of the Clermont County Policy and Procedure Manual as prepared?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Hubert?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Anything else?
Nope, we're ready for executive session.
Then we have a need for executive session pursuant to Section 121.22 G3 and G4 of the Ohio Revised Code to first confer with prosecuting attorney regarding pending and imminent litigation, and secondly, to prepare for and conduct and review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment respectively. Do we have a motion to go into executive session under those two sections?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hubert?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. We'll be back in a little bit. We're back from executive session. No decisions were made. And Mr. Eigel?
We do have an add-on for the board's consideration, and this is a recommendation to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board, to execute the joint application for employment of outside legal counsel with the Clermont County Prosecuting Attorney to the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas for the employment of the legal counsel as outlined below, pursuant to and in compliance with Revised Code 305.14, and the law firm is Montgomery, Rennie & Johnson. And this is for the litigation identified as Christopher Hicks versus Clermont County Board of Commissioners, United States District Court, Southern District of Ohio, Western Division, for representation of David Ubel in his individual capacity for counts 1, 3, 4, and 5, and a compensation at a rate of $185 per hour.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that recommendation?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Hubert?
Abstain, sorry. Yeah.
And does that conclude our business for today?
It does not. We have a discussion regarding the reallocation of the 2014 state capital funding. Mr. Kupta?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Still early. Take one and pass it down, please.
Sure.
You all received these on your desk this morning. I don't know if you brought them with you, so I'm passing out copies. You're getting the sheriff's request for reallocation of the $500,000 from the 2014 capital bill. This was made to the BCC, the board, for an extension of the runway at the Clermont County Airport. It took a year to get the agreement in place with the Ohio Board of Regents so we could have the funds available to spend. The aviation engineering firm hired to design and assist as the FAA approvals determined the runway could not be extended as originally envisioned. So we determined last year the project could not move forward. The funds are still available. There's a strong indication that the 2018 capital bill will include reappropriations of previously allocated but unspent funds, like for this project. Senator Eaker and State Representative Doug Green would need to support such a reappropriation request, which would need to come from the Board of County Commissioners. So, knowledge of this money potentially being available for other county projects has gotten out, obviously. The full $500,000 is still there, and the county sheriff has some needs that he would like to talk a little bit about to you today, how that money could be spent. Sure.
If you take the opportunity to look at the paperwork that Andy had passed out to you, in the last year or so, we've been looking at a couple different changes at the office. One of them is we wanted to improve our gun range for our qualifications, and the other agencies in the county use for their firearm qualifications. Along with that, we were looking at some options of moving the temporary clerks buildings that they had up at the domestic relations juvenile to bring that down. Ended up being really costly and really cumbersome. So one of the things that we've looked at is if we have the ability to get this approval to get this money, we could build a 3,600 square foot building that would house our firearms training for our in-classroom work, continue education for the officers, not only of the sheriff's office, but other law enforcement and accounting and surrounding agencies. We would also be able to house, right now, presently, as you well know, we run OPADA, Police Officers Training Academy, the Corrections Academy out of the jail. The area that we would use for a lot of that is now being eaten up by the CAS program, the expansion of the CAS program. So we kind of are, without an area to hold that. We believe if we get approval for this, that we could have those classes and have that instruction and basically hold that academy there at that building. That also, part of the planning for this also, we would be able to house some of our multi-jurisdictional task force that we run in the county, and that way we would have to stop. It would keep us from bouncing around to different homes for that unit. For obvious reasons, not getting into that anymore, but for us, it would be really a one-stop shopping for us to be able to do this, and we hope we get the opportunity.
And so the Sheriff, the proposed location is where what we call the old animal shelter used to be that we tore down earlier this year, which is right across from the firearms range. So I don't think the existing pad would be sufficient, so I think this proposal includes all new foundation for that as well, for the new building.
And you would use this facility for firearms training classroom? Would you still use the firing range for outdoor?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We already have some money that's set aside for the revamping of that. So this would kind of be a continuation of maybe, say, the phase 2 of that, the whole revamp of that area there.
Okay.
So are you asking us to ask the state to reallocate to that use?
Right.
So from a process standpoint, I've been talking to Steve Tugend, who's obviously working with us on the 2018 capital bill process. He's kind of an expert in this area. If the board would support this request, the next step would be a letter signed by the board to Senator Eager and State Representative Doug Green, because this is in both their districts, requesting them to reallocate the money and attach that request to it for that purpose. And then everything else has to happen up in Columbus. Basically, if there is going to be a reappropriation component to the 2018 capital bill, it would get included in there, hopefully. If there is not going to be a reappropriation component, then it's going to have to get attached to some other bill over the next couple of months, if that's what they want to do. Then there's a lot of mechanical hoops they have to get jumped through with moving the money out of the Ohio Board of Regents to either Department of Administrative Services or Department of Corrections. That's all going to have to get worked out once this is moving forward.
You, Senator Eager, about this at all?
Yeah, Senator Eager and his staff got this summary last week, this request. So they've had it. Steve Tugend has been trying to communicate with them to get a confirmation that this is going to be okay with them. Obviously, I would think that the board supporting this, if that was the case, Senator Eager and Doug Green are going to take that into account, that this is what the board wants. The money was originally allocated for a request that the board made, so if that didn't work out, I think they would put a lot of weight in the fact that this is how you want to spend the money now. It certainly does hit the priorities that are currently at the top of mind in Columbus with narcotics and opiate addiction, and a lot of this work involves addressing that in some way. So I think it's certainly going to meet those priorities. It's certainly bondable. It's new construction, so we think it's a good project.
It's as minor as it is, but where's the 19,000 coming from? Is that your budget?
The $19,000, we currently have 300 and right. We currently have
Capital fund?
322,000 in the capital fund for a project smaller than this.
Got it.
So we would use 19 of that money.
So effectively, we're saving 300,000, right? So
Well, we'll
Yes,
reallocate
exactly.
it, I'm sure, so.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Cake sale.
So do we have a motion to support the request and sign a letter?
And there was no motion prepared for that today.
Okay,
Discussion only.
but we could make that motion because we do the minutes in the post sense. So is there a motion, or would we prefer to wait and get something written up?
I'll wait to see something.
Okay, very good.
There are two other projects that I'm aware of. One is the Little Fork Child Advocacy Center. And to my knowledge, I believe they have also applied for the 2018 funds. I'm not sure of if they're ready yet for the reallocation, because I think they're looking for something that's ready to go. But I believe Scott O'Reilly has indicated he'd like to address the board, and we can make that happen. The second project was something through the Mental Health and Recovery Board for Karen Shera, and I spoke to her 2 weeks ago, and she would not be ready for the reallocation, but I directed her to Andy's office for the 2018 funds. So I'm not sure if they contacted you or not, Andy, but I think they were more interested in the 2018 capital funds.
Well, we received quite a few applications for the 2018 funds. Regarding the 2014 reallocations, I think that from a consideration standpoint, something that's ready to go is going to be very important, because these were 2014 funds, so they're really going to want to make sure that these dollars can get spent if they are reallocated in a timely manner. So if one of these other agencies does come in asking for those funds, that probably would be something you'd want to strongly consider when they're presenting it to you, is how ready are they to go and spend those dollars.
So if the board would like, I could ask Mr. O'Reilly to come in and present his project to the board. If the board doesn't feel that would be necessary and they'd rather support this project, we can move forward with supporting this project. It's really up to the board whether or not we want to hear from someone else.
Well, I'm really concerned that his project isn't really ready to go, and this one appears to be, so. And it's a 2014 money allocation, so we really need to move forward with it.
What was the limitation on Karen? What was her request?
She didn't indicate that to me. I just told her, I asked her what her request would be, and she said they haven't come up with anything as of yet.
Okay.
So they were putting something together, but she wasn't specific on
She
what it
doesn't have a
was.
specific ask at this time.
Correct.
Regarding Little Fork, but Andy, he's also applied for new funding.
Correct.
So in some regards, since he's applying for new funding, and I think that's where he's going.
Yep, and it's much more appropriate for 2018 funding than it is for
This
reuse of 14 funding.
This
that's
project could be-
sitting out.
up and in place by mid-year,
Yep.
if he got the money today, right? So,
Certainly beginning of the year. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks, Sheriff. Do we have anything else today?
That's all we have, sir.
There being nothing else to come before the board, we can accept a motion to adjourn.
Did you want to address public participation?
Oh, we can do public participation, of course. So anyone from the public that would like to participate? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Thanks, Judith.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Hubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. That concludes our business for today. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.